Alright, so let's test this out. Got my headphones on. So take a listen to this.
What? What the fuck?
You hear sound? How can that be? There's no battery in here. Hey everybody, what's going on? Hope you guys are doing good. I am doing just great. So here I am with the fake Dean Dave Mustaine signature guitar with the Chinese version of what active EMGs are supposed to be like. So as you just heard, well, the guitar was plugged in. Yeah, it made noise. And if anybody knows anything about EMG pickups, well, if there's no battery or the battery is dead, there's also no sound. And well, this ended up producing sound without the battery. So I want to see why. Why is it working like this? It really shouldn't be if they are, true EMGs. But we all know that they are going to be fake clones of what the Chinese think EMGs should be like. So I want to go ahead and pluck the strings off this thing, pull out the pickups, and then flip this thing over and take the control cover off. Take a look at things and kind of explain why there is sound when there really shouldn't be. All right, so let's get cutting over here and get rid of these strings. All right, so the strings are plucked. Now here's the bridge that's on here. They put a pneumatic bridge. There's really no travel here as far as intonating it. There's really not much travel here. And I guess if the guitar is set up properly, as far as scale length and everything else goes, you probably really don't need that much travel on the bridge if everything intonates correct. But I can't stand these wire bracket that goes across all of the adjustment screws for the saddles. These get binded up sometimes and they'll end up kind of popping themselves out and pulling on it, going on an angle, and yeah, that's not really good. But these are cheap. Really not too much of a logo in here. Just looks like someone just had some fun with machining it, and garbage. So one thing happened with this, as I was removing the strings, a lot of the top string ferrules came out, exception of one. So that will stay in place, and the rest of them I'll end up probably putting just a little bit of CA glue on them in order to keep them from coming off in the future. Maybe put a little bit of a piece of wood along with it just to make sure that they stay in place and never come off. Because with CA glue, string tension on it, it could knock it a little bit and it'll end up coming loose. Now, one of my YouTubers ended up saying that the pattern on this is not in the right place. So I ended up looking at other guitars similar to this one, the actual Dean guitar, and he's right that the pattern that is on here is off center from where it's supposed to be, and I can kind of see it on this edge here and this edge here. It's more towards this way right over here than being towards this way. So this is supposed to be a little bit off to the side more, not the bridge covering part of his head. Another thing that a fellow YouTuber was saying that, with active guitars, as soon as you plug them in, then they're supposed to be turned on. There is no switch. This is where I have to argue with you, because when you buy a set of actual EMG pickups or active set, they come with a output jack similar to this one. Now this has got 3 prongs on there and 2 tabs for connecting to your patch cord. Now this one here is connected to this post here, and then you have this post here that's connected to the positive side, which is the taller one. This one's connected to the negative side, and this over here is connected to the barrel of it. That's also connected to the negative side. So what you end up doing is you put 2 negative wires, one wire coming from the electronics from the guitar itself, and then another is coming from the negative on the battery side. And when you plug them in here or solder them up together, as soon as you plug in your patch cord, this post here and then the barrel connects together. There's your switch for turning on your active when the patch cord is plugged in. When you unplug it, these two get disconnected, and there's your off for the active system. This does not have that, okay? And as you just heard in the beginning of this video, we had sound with no battery installed in this thing. So as far as a, EMG system, I looked up the Chinese version of a lot of different pickups, and as far as I could tell, they don't have a output jack switch on any of their systems that come with a kit for EMGs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and check out the size of the screws. Get my drill over here. Change out the chuck to a screwdriver. Make sure it's in reverse. I'm going to go ahead and remove all of these pickups. Now, there's some pretty short screws. Let's see if these are a little bit longer, because they should be. Nope, they are not. They are all the same size. So that's got to be changed out, because there's only a few threads that are holding in the back of this pickup into the body. Now watch, they stuck the long screws inside this side, right? No, they're still the same size so far. They even copied the plug that is on the back of EMGs. And let's see if these have that same configuration as far as the wires are going. Oh yeah, they do. Let's see here. There you go. They taped them down to keep them from moving around on you. And of course, they're not marked anything. So you have your wire that's going to give you your sound. You have a negative, and then you have a positive that goes to your battery. So making sure that, see, now this is kind of strange here. So they were like, this was like this. Usually it's like this when it plugs in. So I want to see what the other one looks like as far as being plugged in. Oh, it's the same way. So they've got the plugs facing with the, what is it, showing ground, I think it is. No, it's showing hot. So hot is facing downwards. All right, so these are not marked. They're just a pickup, Now, with the battery installed in these things, I bet you they become more alive. All right, maybe that's the key to this. They're probably wound a certain way. Of course, there's going to be a magnet inside of them. They're going to end up probably being a little bit more active or a little bit more clear in sound when the battery is installed. So are these all just pull out? Yeah, these are all just pulls off, pull them off. And that's about it. So I'm going to take and loosen that up. And I love this tool. This tool is really nice. You stick it over this thing, you tighten it up a little bit to get it on the washer, the nut washer, and you just turn it, comes loose. Love it. Great tool to have. You don't have to worry about scratching up your finish. You don't have to worry about having any issues with the finish as far as trying to put some type of wrench on there and then slipping. And then I also use a nut, if I could find a nice size nut, which these are small. Wow. So I'm going to have to use a wrench. It's probably going to be metric. Usually it's a 10 millimeter, but this is going to be, oh, it is a 10 millimeter. All right. So I'm just going to loosen these guys up. Like I said, the bones of this body are not bad, okay? The actual guitar itself is not bad as far as structural goes. There are some minor flaws in the finish, which, to be honest with you, a Chinese guitar, I don't think I've ever seen one. Wow, these are like drilled out really big. I've never seen a Chinese guitar that didn't have some type of flaw on it. Sometimes they're easy to find, sometimes they're hard to find. And this one is no different as far as, having flaws with it. It's got some here and there. So what I want to do is get everything loosened up here. Well, these tuners, when I was detuning the guitar, well, actually it wasn't even in tune, but loosening up the strings, so let's call it that, and getting them loose enough to where I can cut them. They are very grindy. You can feel how grindy they are when they turn. They are not, yeah. And then the post on top, they are pretty loose. They're not, some, well, wow, one is not loose, but some are looser than the others. So, yeah. All right, so let's stuff these guys inside of here. Flip this over. Make sure I'm not hitting anything over here. I'll go ahead and remove this cover here. A lot of rubbing compound all over this thing. Looks like they ended up putting everything together and then doing a cleaning on this thing. You can see there's a lot of white around the string furrows. So here is here's your active system. And like I said, between the, let me zoom in a little bit over here. Between EMGs and a lot of active systems, they have a extra wire that goes to the output jack, and what that does is it ends up connecting the battery and the ground for the actual system over here to make a connection. What the hell did they do here? They put a larger nut over the pots to act as either a spacer or a lock to keep the controls from either spinning or moving around. Interesting. Alright, so back to what I was saying. Pretty much a standard three-way switch, not a big deal. Good idea to tighten up these two screws that are under, because sometimes they are a little bit loose. And this really doesn't look any different than any other three-way switch that I've ever seen. The switch itself is not loose or any excess or extra movement on the pin that's on there. It seems to be pretty sturdy, so that seems to be pretty good. The pin looks like it's in there pretty secure, and all it is a brass pin. Slide in this side, put a punch on this side, spreads it open, keeps it in place. Got all your grounds over here connected to it, and then your hots from your, well, they wouldn't be hot, they're actually just sound coming in from your pots, and I don't even know what pots these are. They got some type of a logo on them, but nothing that I recognize. Green cap with a, what is this? I'll have to look up the number on here. Can't tell what the number is. Alright, so back to what I was saying. Here is all the hot wires that are coming from the pickups to the battery, all going to this one right here. Most of the time you would see 3 wires going to your output jack on an active system rather than just 2. So this is telling me that when this is plugged in, okay, it's active. But when it's unplugged, it's also active, because there is no break point between the battery and the electronics themselves. So if this was plugged in or not plugged in, it's still putting a little bit of a draw on the battery. Not if it was being used. If it was being used and the pickups were doing their job while you were playing guitar, you would be sucking up more of the battery power, rather than it would be sitting just idling, basically. It would be kind of like a standby, so to say. But still, this should have at least 3 wires in order to make it correct to act as a switch. So again, you know, when I was talking about how the prongs are on these plugs, every active system that you purchase either has a 3-prong output jack. This does not. So this is how the Chinese get away with calling their system active, even though being unplugged, or sorry, batteryless, they still work. Now, what I want to do with this is I actually want to change out some of this stuff and test these pots a little bit to see if they are actually any good. Maybe replace them. They put a 500K. Here's a B. Here's an A. And here's a B. So the tone is an A. I like to use the audio tapers. I like to use them because there's no drop. So that's what I'm going to end up doing with this. I know, why bother? It's, you know, a Chinese-made guitar. You know, why even go into upgrading or putting any money into it? Well, number one, here it is. I have so much stock in parts, I'm not really putting any money into it. All right, so as far as the parts that I have on hand that I've purchased, you know, throughout the years of doing this, I've got it, so I can do it. And without even thinking that I'm actually putting money into them. You know, I can't remember what the brand name of these plugs are, but I bought a whole shitload of these things. So I'm stocked on output jacks. Bridges and stuff like that. I've got several different types of Tune-o-matic bridges, and even some actual Floyd Rose bridges that I might be putting on the Metallica wannabe that was a knockoff from Highland Guitars. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fix this. This is going to be done the right way. I don't like how this is going, because right now what they did is they got the ground for the battery, which I'm sure is right here. The ground for the battery is just connected to the top of one of the volumes, and basically what that's doing is, you know, it's just on when it's on. There's no switch on the volume control, there's no nothing. So again, the system is on when it's unplugged. All right, that's a little bit of a update of what's going on and what I'll be doing next over here. I'll be doing a little bit of work on these Chinese guitars and fixing the little issues that they come with when you buy one. All right, you guys, take it easy, have a good one, and I will catch up with you later.